Oh my God. Hello. Hey, friends. How the hell are ya? What's going on? What's happening? As you can see, I've got chaos over here. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Mercury retrograde, bitches. It's almost over. Thank good Christ. It didn't hit me very hard until this week, and then somehow it just became the thing. We're wrapping up with it on Friday. We'll, of course, have the shadow period coming out of it. Um, but I, for one, am ready for it to be done. I'm donezo. Donezo with it, donezo. I also spent 5 hours at the DMV today. You're welcome. I hope you can feel the stress and just take it on, absorb it, internalize it, make it your own. Just kidding. Don't do that. Have boundaries. Longest Mercury retrograde ever, right, Jamie? Totally. Any hoozle. Hello. There's 5 of you. So let's chat about some stuff. I wanted to talk about this has been on my mind a while to sort of say words about this out loud. The idea of the untethered soul, right? Some of us have heard of this book title. There was a person who wrote a book and it was called The Untethered Soul. And I wonder if you guys, any of you, hi, Howard Williams. I wonder if any of you had similar experiences with seeing that title. When I first saw the title of that book, something inside myself went, "Oh, I'm that. I know what that is. I'm that." All my life, I've had experiences where I look at a thing and I go, "Oh, I know how to do that. I'm that." I am what's called a 6'2" in human design, and the second line is known as the natural. So there are certain things that the 6'2" just like kind of knows how to do. So we sort of recognize ourselves out there and go, "I know how to do that," and we go do that thing. One of those things was being an untethered soul. And I think it's an interesting topic, right? And I'm sure if we had the author of that book here, they would say some similar things to what I'll say today and some different things from what I'll say today. So away we go. I have a feeling too, I think I want to do a, a 3-card spread for you guys at the end of today, that or some readings, opening the records and answering some questions. But I think it's more going to be a spread. I want to see what's up for y'all and we can get some awareness through the cards. Okay, so before that, the untethered soul. So what would it be like to be identified with nothing and to be untethered to any kind of egoic identification of self? I think that's the question at the center of this topic. When you think of who am I, right? If you each just feel into the question like, who am I? If there's things that you identify as, right? You do this thing and so you are that thing. I'm a baker, I'm a chef, I'm an actor, I'm a friend, I'm a mother, who are you? From the perspective of the notion of the untethered soul, we might say something like, you are conscious awareness in form. You are light, choosing choices. You are the divine, manifest in the form of something that other people call Katie Rubin. The untethered soul has no sense of identification with anything that its body mind is doing or being or choosing. The untethered soul is tethered only to the light of, you could say, God or conscious awareness or the divine or love. The untethered soul says the I amness of me is necessarily and inherently fused into the vast field of the I amness of the all that is. And that's to me what it means to be an untethered soul, a soul that is not tethered to mental or even emotional, egoic notions of self. In order to be untethered, you end up having to, as they would say in certain practices, die and die and die to your old self, die to your identifications, die to your egoic attachments. And once you've done that, there's this kind of silent, quiet, constant peace at the center of your being. And you might say to yourself, why would I want to de identify with all things, Katie Rubin? And I would like to say formally, you do not have to. This is not a requirement. The universe doesn't require it of you. You'll never get social pressure from me to do it. I don't believe in doing spiritual teaching from a perspective of you should do what I do because I say so, because I'm the lady saying things. That would be very anti-Aquarian of me, and I'm way too Aquarian for any of that nonsense. To me, I like to talk about concepts and see what resonates for you and see just offer them out so that you can choose what resonates for you. What do you want to identify with? So let's take, for example, even if you look at something like your human design chart and you see like, oh, I have, a definition of my emotional center, and I have an open head, and I have defined root, and my ajna is open. Like, are you the definition in your root? Are you the definition in your emotional center? Are you your sacral center? I personally would argue, from the perspective of being somebody who feels like an untethered soul, I would argue, no, the body mind organism of you has definition in its sacral center. Excuse me, the body mind organism of you, let's talk about me. The body mind organism of me is emotionally defined, which means like the body mind organism goes on this emotional ride regularly where it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's moody, it's in, it's out. And eventually it settles onto a clarity of knowing when it comes to decision making. But even that emotional ride is not me. It is not the thing I identify as. So you might ask, well, what is the thing you identify as? And at this point, I think I would have to say something like space, conscious awareness. I think the only thing I could say there's any identification with would be something like, I am the awareness that witnesses the body mind organism of Catherine Rubin going through the emotional wave. I am the conscious awareness that can choose to align itself with source or the divine light when it needs to feel more peaceful, which is, by the way, what I did this morning. I woke up this morning, jacked the fuck up, jacked up, just wacky and ungrounded and out of my head. And I messaged a girlfriend of mine and I was like, I'm leaving you a message because I'm insane and I need to feel less insane. And then that didn't help. And as is always the case in my life, the only thing that ever helps when I'm out of sorts is to go to source, like directly to source. So I did that. I sat down, I got in the Akashic records, which is the way I like to go to source these days. And I asked the light to meet me in my agitation. I had all this agitation in my third chakra, and I had some agitation in the second chakra. And I said, will you clear this, please? And the light immediately, yes, and dissolves it out of the third and dissolved a bunch of shit out of my brainstem, which I didn't realize was there, and cleared my spinal column out, and all this stuff happened. And then I was like, oh my God. And I could just breathe into the peace that is who I really am at this point. And so this brings us back to, this is the whole point of what I'm talking about today. I am not my agitation. I am that which is aware of agitation in the body mind organism. I am that which can choose to align with source to relieve the body mind organism of agitation. I am that conscious choice that can say, I choose to create a business that does this thing. I am that conscious awareness which can choose to take a nap when the body mind organism is tired. So I am not this body. I am definitely not the thoughts that go through the head. I am not my preferences. I'm trading in my car, getting a new car, and I like this new car better. It's more of what I like. But I'm not that fucking car. I'm also not the preference of, I'm not someone who likes this kind of car. I am conscious awareness flowing through a body-mind organism that body-mind organism happens to prefer certain kinds of cars. So because the conscious awareness that I choose to identify as this untethered soulness called Katie Rubin, which I really wouldn't call my untethered soul Katie Rubin. I would call it, it doesn't have a name. It's just an energy. It's just an awareness, right? The awareness moving through me likes, it notices that the body mind organism of Katie Rubin is regularly cranky and unhappy when it doesn't get what it wants. You know what I mean? In other words, like if I have a car that I hate, my car recently, it's like I got this like fancy luxury car and it's all leather inside and it has all the buttons and the wood paneling and it's pretty. And I got it because about a year and a half ago, because I wanted a luxury car. I was like, I really want that. My body likes to drive around in luxury. It likes to feel nice. So I got it, but I didn't realize it was going to feel too small. It's a little contained fancy car. And over time I've realized I miss being in an SUV and having a better visibility for myself. I have to look down. I like looking down because I can see curbs better, and I just like the perspective of it better. It's just a preference I have, that the body mind organism of Katie Rubin, the ego mind of me, prefers to be in a car that's bigger, and I like space above my head. I don't want the like ceiling to be right here. I just don't like it. So consciousness that blows through me notices, wow, this body mind does not enjoy feeling contracted in a car. It doesn't like all the fancy fucking buttons. The body mind organism likes a simple button that you push one time and then the air conditioning does the thing. I'm old. I don't need crazy fancy buttons that are so hard to learn. God, I sound like my grandmother. So the conscious awareness of that's moving through this body mind organism goes to work making the body happy. Why? Why would it do that? Because my conscious awareness is aware that, the consciousness of that is actually who I am cannot be separated from the physical experience of this body and this mind. So it has surrendered to that fact. For this lifetime, we're doing embodiment. And if we, the consciousness of me and this body, if we're doing embodiment, then we want embodiment to be as pleasing as possible. So that means we want fulfilling work that is fun to do. We want friends we enjoy being around. We want closeness. We want intimacy. We want to connect. We want love. We want foods that make the body feel good. We want cars that make the body feel good. We want purpose and a sense of direction. We want all that stuff. Why? Because the body mind organism prefers it. The body mind organism does not prefer to be, in my case, it doesn't prefer to be like clueless about what it's doing and directionless and floating on the tide and letting life take me wherever it's going to take me. Like my body mind likes to be like, I know what I'm doing. We're going over here. Let's do that now. And then it likes to rest and do nothing and float in expansive awareness. That's just what this body mind likes to do. And having studied human design a lot in recent years, I've come to understand so much more about what this body mind likes to do. And for a long time, I was really like wondering about what is the relationship between being an untethered soul and having a human design? In other words, am I the space of conscious awareness, or am I all of these defined centers in my body mind organism? I personally take the point of view that I am the consciousness that is aware of what the body mind organism prefers. I am the consciousness that is aware of what the body mind organism tends to need to do and receive and have and give in order to experience fulfillment, which is what personally I'm after. My body mind is after satisfaction, fulfillment, to feel satisfied. I'm a manifesting generator in human design. And so that's what I'm after, right? So back to the question at hand, what does it mean to be an untethered soul? And why would one pursue that? What I want to say about it is what I was interested in, I can kind of only speak for myself and then offer that to you and see if it's useful in any way, because I honestly don't think the path of the untethered soul is for everybody. I actually 100% know it's not for everybody, but it may be for you. It may be something you're endeavoring towards, or something you already have embodied, or whatever. And there can be a real, what is it? Like a sense of recognition when someone names a thing that you are, right? There's so many things in this lifetime where someone will say words at me and I'll go, that's the thing I know. Or someone will say words about who they are and I'll go, that's who I am. Right. That, but I need to hear it I need to be mirrored by reality to know certain things. We can't learn everything in a vacuum. So why would we care to become only identified with the consciousness that understands what is occurring to and for the body mind, rather than being identified with our preferences, our thoughts, and our feelings? I'm a golfer who likes this kind of shoe and not this other kind of shoe. I'm a friend. I'm this kind of friend. I'm that kind of friend. I'm a person who only shops at Blabbity Blue. I'm this, I'm that. When we identify as these things rather than understanding, we are the conscious awareness choosing these things because the body mind prefers it. Then we get ourselves into all kinds of trouble with everything mattering a lot. In other words, if I am the conscious awareness that is making choices for and on behalf of the body mind, then I have all the time in the world to create whatever I'm creating. There's no rush. If I am the conscious awareness that is choosing things on behalf of the body mind organism, then I don't have a ton of internal stress because I'm not out to prove that I am anything. I am a lady who goes only to fancy restaurants. I am a lady who only does this and never does that. I am a daughter. I am a son. All of these ego identification points become the places where we get really trapped in obligation and in cultural programming. Now, let me be very clear. This is not me saying, I am not saying have no preferences. And I'm not saying be a terrible daughter or son. I'm not saying don't give a shit about your family. I'm not, Yvonne, what's up? Hey, girl. I'm not saying don't care about things in your life and invest in them. I'm not saying don't value and treat your relationships as if they matter. You probably, knowing you, being a human organism, care about your family and care about your objects in your house. And you probably care about being on time and you care about other people's feelings. So that would be a reason to honor other people's feelings and be on time and really take excellent care of the body mind. I mean, it's why I'm trading my car in, because I prefer a different car and I want that experience for my body mind. But we're talking about who and what do you identify with and as. You are not the driver. You are not a Lexus driver. I just thought of that because Yvonne has a Lexus and I love her car. You are the conscious awareness that chooses Lexus because the body mind of you prefers it. That's my point of view. Okay, now you may be someone out there who's going like, yeah, but I prefer to identify with all of these things. These things are who I am. To which I would say, rock on. You do you, homie. I am not here to proselytize or try to change you into being something you don't want to be. But what I can say is this. After all these years of doing energy healing work and dissolving piece after piece after piece of my sense of attachment and egoic identification points, they've been fucking dissolved. And by the way, in my case, they were dissolved out of kind of as a secondary byproduct of doing healing work. My healing could only occur through spiritual connection. That was just the only way that it worked for me. And I would notice that as I would clear a piece of trauma using spiritual healing work, energy work, right? All of a sudden, like another piece of egoic identification would go. I'd process some grief from childhood and bring a piece of self back into my body and integrate that self and feel whole. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, I'm not an actor. I'm a person who sometimes chooses to act. I'm a body-mind organism who sometimes wants to jump around and pretend to be other people, but a lot of times not. But you see, that's my point. It was so many years of being identified as things that caused me so much suffering. I was so identified with actor, for example. And let's talk about some of the things, how I looked and how I thought I should look. my physical appearance. What should I look like? I should be thinner. I should look how American white ladies are told we're supposed to look. I should look, I should be an actor. I should be succeeding at acting. I should make this much money and not this much money. And it was very compulsive and desperate. It had a desperation behind it, my need to be the things that I was egoically identified as. Now, as those attachments kind of dissolved away, it became something that was choice. Now it feels like I have choice. I can choose to make a bunch of money or not. I can choose to be in a bunch of plays if they choose to hire me or not. I can choose to, I don't know, have 3 businesses or 1. I can choose because I'm not egoically identified as one thing. Also, so many people, you'll see this show up in the form of like, I can't leave my hometown because my family's here, or I can't, which I don't want to shit on that. Like, if you're a tribal person and you're into communal, collective, tribal energies, then that's what's going to work for you. You may not be an untethered soul, but you may be, because it's certainly possible to be untethered with your egoic identification and still prefer to be near family and friends. I certainly prefer to be near friends I enjoy and family I like to be with. But when we have an egoic attachment, okay, to an identity point, I am daughter, I am husband, I am doctor, nurse, wife, actor, whatever it might be, then what happens is the thing you are identified with actually owns you. It owns you. You are now limited in your choices by your egoic identification with that title or that energy or the presumed and projected behaviors of that title and that energy and that quote, quote, type of person. So, one way that can look, for example, is like when I was just working so hard to be a working artist every minute, I believed that there was I wasn't a real artist if I wasn't only doing art. I had to never make money some other ways because I had to prove to some invisible egoic somebody I was proving things to that that I was such an artist, because that's where I got my sense of value. Well, what if, and do you know how exhausting that is? To constantly be, any of you relate to this? Like, you're on the rat race or on the hamster wheel of always trying to prove to somebody who's not watching that you are the thing you identify as egoically, so that then you can feel like you have value, or then you can feel like you're lovable and you deserve connection and communion and love and oneness. What if who you are, if it is just the space of conscious awareness that is choosing things that one prefers, then you have inherent value. Let me put it to you this way. This morning, like I was saying before, when I woke up super agitated, and what had happened was, let's be real, yesterday I drank so much freaking espresso, you guys. Oh my God. It was because I was passing postcards out all over town because I have a show Saturday night. By the way, if you're in the Beacon, New York area, Saturday night, come see me do a show. It's called Weird, Wild, and Wise. And it's happening Saturday night, the 4th at 8 p.m. at the Howland Cultural Center in Beacon, New York. So I was like going to all these coffee shops and leaving flyers and postcards for the show. And I kept thinking, like, I should probably buy something when I'm in here. I'm like putting my shit all over their phone. Let me patronize this place to be considerate of their space. So I kept buying espresso shots. And by the end of the day, I probably had 8 espresso shots. Oh my God, it was too many. So somehow I managed to fall asleep early, but it messed with me in the morning. Hours later, I woke up 5 a.m. just like, I'm wide awake. And then I was like, I can't get up, and I'm sweating, and I felt it was bad. Time went by. I passed out again. Then I slept from like 7 to 9 a.m. And then I had nightmares the whole time, which we should talk about those nightmares that happen. I don't know if any of you can relate to this. Hi, Michael Taylor from Corby, England. Lovely to see you again. Welcome back. We'll talk about that some other time. When you wake up in the morning and then you go back to sleep and then you have crazy dreams. If anybody has that, we can talk about what that's about. Anyway, the point is, what the hell is the point? I got on a tangent. We're talking about being an untethered soul. Oh, I know. So, because I was so agitated this morning from that weird, like sleep deprived, coffee infested caffeine weirdness, and I didn't know that that's why I felt so weird all morning. I felt weird for about an hour after waking up. All I had to do, you guys, was get into the Akashic records and connect with spirit, which that's just how I like to do it these days. To connect with source, I go to the Akashic records. 20 seconds in, I've brought the light in. The light, I'm asked it, will you please dissolve whatever this agitation is? Yes is its immediate response. It's dissolving it, and I'm back to peace. And peace inside my body feels like this, the midline just opens and receives light, and that's it. And then there's just silence and peace and oneness. And that's who I am. And then the way I would say it is like I felt back to myself, back to my center. So that caffeine agitation had left the body and it was not agitating the body mind anymore. Now, when I mean, look at, I'm tongue tied. When the light came in and I felt peace again and I felt back to my center, I felt completely whole. And I've felt that way all day, whole, connected to myself, not confused about who I am, grounded, happy, peaceful. And I didn't achieve anything. I didn't it's not because I've identified with an idea. I don't have an egoic attachment to any idea here. The peace came from actual visceral connection with source that then moved out everything that was not actual visceral connection with source, aka in this case, the caffeine agitation. It moved that out. It brought me back to connectedness with silence, oneness, expansive light. And then I felt valued and peaceful and loved and whole. I even ended up having a conversation with a different girlfriend randomly after this all happened. And we were talking about dating on the spiritual path. And we were talking about various things about dating. And one of the things I found myself saying to her was like, hey man, it'll work or it won't. Like about my own journey. Like, I don't know, there'll be a dude or there won't. Because I would like there to be a dude. I talk to my friends about I wonder if there'll be a dude. Maybe I'll be alone forever. And people think, oh, I feel sad for you when you say maybe I'll be alone forever. And I go, well, sometimes I do too, because I worry about when I'm really old, who's going to take care of me kind of thing. But the answer is the divine will. Really, it really does. And also we need more than the divine when you're old. You need people to take care of you. And I get that. But my point is, what a relief to have moved in my lifetime from, I have to be thin and pretty and succeeding at this one specific thing in order to earn the favor and the love of some man who will then love me and validate my existence. I get my existence validated on my couch, straight from the light, anytime I want, or walking around life straight from the light. Does that mean we don't need people and we don't have human needs? Absolutely not. The body-mind organism of Katie Rubin does need connection. It does need love. It does need closeness. It does need financial support from a teammate, like a partner in life. That'd be nice. It does need a car. It does need all kinds of things. But you have to understand what we're talking about is, what am I identified with? The topic today, right, is what is it to be an untethered soul, and why would we bother becoming one? And the answer is, as an untethered soul, in order to feel valued, valuable, loved, whole, needing of nothing, all one need do is connect back to source. Rather than, I'm an actor, so I have to be acting in order to feel valued and good and part of this world. What if you could feel valued and good and part of this world just by sitting on the couch, sipping a tea, going out to see people, or not? What if it could be like that? What if the center midline of you could feel so aligned with the all that is, that there's no more desperate yearning? There's no more desperation, I should say, no more clinging. No more desperate, clinging, yearning need. Now, that that being said, again, I want to be clear. I am a person who this body mind likes to do all kinds of different shit, and it gets bored as hell if it's not doing all kinds of different shit. Um, I'm doing a bunch of improv comedy out here. I have a solo show I'm doing Saturday night. I have a business where I stage houses for realtors, and I'm a freaking energy healer, spiritual teacher. What the hell is all that? That's a lot of stuff to do. I also, in human design, have the left angle cross of industry, which means the body mind organism of me is happiest and most fulfilled when it's quite busy. It needs to be doing a lot of stuff, this body mind organism. So I go a little cuckoo pants when I don't have enough going on of certain varieties of things. I need a certain amount of spiritual teaching and I need a certain amount of creative outlet. That's just what makes satisfaction happen for this body mind. But that is not who I am. Who I am is the conscious awareness that chooses to satisfy the needs of this body mind. And because that's who I know that I actually am, there's always peace available. Every millisecond of time, peace is available. All I need to do is breathe into my low belly, open my heart, and here we are, back at peace. Light, expansion, awareness, psychic ability. All of it comes through being the untethered soul that is tethered only to the divine boat, as it were. They used to say on the Sufi path, stay they call the path, like the steps you take on the Sufi path, the practices of the path, they call it the ship of safety. And they'd say, stay on the ship. The world is a chaotic nightmare. Have you noticed? But if you're sitting in the middle of the ship of safety, the ocean can be doing whatever it's doing. The ocean is the world, the ship is your path. When you're sitting on the ship of safety, the ocean can do whatever the fuck it wants because you're at ease and at peace at the center, at the eye of the storm. And that's the reason, and that's the value of becoming the untethered soul and being identified with nothing except the oneness, the light, the truth, conscious awareness itself. Yeah, so I hope I've made that clear that none of this means we don't have preferences and we don't honor the body mind. In fact, I've noticed the more untethered I've become, the less egoically identified, the better I treat my body mind organism. I used to do all kinds of shit to this body, being like, just get up and do another show and suck it up and get out there and hustle and work. And I was pushing it around all the time because I had something to prove. I was trying to prove to the world, look, I have value. Guess what? Nobody's watching. And if they are watching, who cares? Why am I a slave to, why should I ever, or you, be a slave to what other people have deemed is approval worthy? Really think about that. What other people think proves your value, do you really want to spend your life pursuing what other people think is valuable? Or do you want to feel valuable just by existing? I personally needed to find out what it would feel like to be valuable and lovable and whole and one, at oneness, at rest, at peace, without any more achievements. And now I find myself pursuing those achievements from a very different place, from a place of, well, that would be fun. I'd like to have some of that, but I'm not going to rush over there. I don't have compulsive desperation to get anywhere anymore. And sometimes it's weird, man. It feels really weird to be untethered because I could just literally sit here and stare at this wall all day and be really comfortable. So like sometimes it's hard to motivate to give a shit about anything. But then luckily, here's what happens. The nervous system, AKA the body mind, is like, I'm hungry. So then I go, all right, I got to take care of the body mind. What do you need, body? I want a comfortable sweater and a latte. Okay. So we go take care of the body mind. All right. That's a lot of words. Does anyone have any questions about this? Please, 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 let's chit chat. Let's have some discussion on this topic. What do you guys want to know about this? Or what would you like to share about it? What curiosities do you have? How does this land for you guys? Just throw your thoughts and feelings in the chat if you don't mind. This is meant to be a dialogue back and forth betwixt us. Let me not just soapbox you all night. Questions, thoughts, feelings? Yes, Ben says, totally. I didn't know how to rest until I learned I wasn't my achievements. Amen, brother. Totally 100%, 100 million, right? Because like he says, if who you are is your achievements, then you're never allowed to not be heading toward an achievement, because then there's no you. That's a big one on the spiritual path, is the idea of, if I don't do this thing, then I won't be me. And if you face the fear that comes up under that, what if I don't do this thing, I won't be me? That's a fear. If you sit with that fear and you become the not you you're afraid you're going to be, you find on the other side of that, there's a lot of peace and a lot of freedom. It's just the fear and the resistance of not being the us we thought we were that keeps us from dissolving our attachment to that us. Like, I thought I would die if I wasn't a constantly achieving actor. And I was so tired of being a slave to that belief that I sat in the center of that fear, brought the light to it, dissolved it, and then was like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. And then I can choose. Do it, don't do it. That's fine. Cool. Thank you for that, Ben. Other thoughts, feelings? Please throw questions in the chat, you guys. Think about, what does this have to do with healing? What does this have to do with your life? Please, please, please. What questions do you have? Deirdre says, yes. Manifester super slave, pushing to prove I am that. Yeah. Do you mean, Deirdre, that that's a thing you tend to do as a manifester, is push to prove that you are that? Is that what you mean? Yeah, let me know what you mean. I think that's what you mean. What other questions? How about you, Michael Taylor, Howard Williams, Yvonne Bethy, Tana Rose? Questions about the untethered soul and what it means? Okay, I'll just awkwardly sit here and stare at you guys until you ask me questions. And while you do that, I'm going to pull cards for us. But please throw your questions in the chat. Thoughts and feelings, things you're realizing, distinctions you want made. Is this untethered? Is that untethered? Are you guys asleep? What's happening? What is happening? Say words. I know you have thoughts and feelings. Don't be shy, please. All right, let's see. Is this our deck? Nope. We're pulling from this other deck. Questions, thoughts, feelings? Tana, you always have thoughts and feelings. What are they, my love? It seems like a lesson that I wish we could learn a lot earlier in life. It's a really good point, Jamie. What would it have given you had you learned it earlier? And I know what you mean. It's something we need to teach our children for sure. Absolutely. I think for me, there would have been no way to learn it earlier in life, because how I learned it was through life kicking my ass. In other words, like, it's the life experience of desperately yearning for things and desperately having to identify with a thing that teaches you, holy shit, I don't want to desperately identify anymore. I suppose if you learned it earlier, you'd just be a little like, that would mean or imply that you had sort of worked through your karma in the previous life and you had shown up kind of ready for that one. So I totally hear you. But life, right? Life shows us this. So let's see. Deirdre says, yes, before I realized I was a manifester, I've worn me body out. Yeah, I hear you. You know, it's interesting that in the human design paradigm, people always think like manifestors are so lucky because they get to initiate. But what they don't realize is you don't get to just randomly initiate. You have to initiate following your strategy and authority. So even manifestors have to wait. You know, generators have to wait to respond, and projectors have to wait for the invitation. But manifestors have to wait till it's correct as well. They just, once they get there, they get to initiate. All right, Tana says, is it a breakdown of old stuff to feel at peace and untethered? Yes, it is. It's the breakdown of all the trauma of the past, all the pain of childhood, Because remember, you guys, trauma creates ego identification. You think you are your trauma. You think you are your story. You think you are your pain. And the more you process your story and your pain and your trauma, the more you realize, oh, those were just energies stuck in my body mind. They were not me. But it's hard to know that when they're in there because they're so loud and intense and dense energetically that we think they are who we are. Also, emotions are that way. You can have such big reactive feelings to life that you can think, I am these reactions. When really it's you are the conscious awareness that is watching the body mind have reactions. So, yes, it's a breakdown of old stuff. And it's also the de identification with or the de egoic attachmentizing to anything other than the light. So notice, you guys, how I'm talking about this. This is something you can come to either through spiritual dissolving of your attachment to whatever that isn't the light, or you can come to it through your healing of your trauma using spiritual healing, energy, light. Both of them will take you to being an untethered soul, because as you heal your trauma through the light, you become liberated from your ego points. And as you clear your ego points of attachment, your trauma clears because they are intimately connected to one another. They're woven together but in the fabric of the emotional body. I hope that helps, Tana. Let me know if you have more questions on that. Thank you for a question, by the way. Hi, Christina. Glad you're here. Hello. Are you joining us for Sunday class? Let me know. Ben says, being taught currently that I'm also not my relationships. Oh, yes. A much harder, more nuanced lesson for you. I got it. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we are definitely not our relationships. Boy, would that be rough to be if you were your relationships. My God, I don't know about you. That'd be rough on me. I have been there and I hear that. Howard Williams, say, for example, a person who works a lot. Okay, a person who works a lot. I said it. I'm making jokes. Yeah, a person who works a lot could be overly identified with themselves in that role. Like I could work a ton as a healer and be like, I am a healer and I have to work all the time because if I'm not a healer, then who am I? Well, you're the light that is creating some healing for some people. You're the space of conscious awareness that is moving through a body mind in such a way that healing occurs for other people, but you're not a healer. So yeah, in that case, Howard, I would be looking at if I don't know if this is true for you because you didn't say too much here, but feel free to say more. If you're a person who works a lot, the question is, are you gleaning and gaining and receiving satisfaction and fulfillment from working a lot? Like I said, I have the left angle cross of industry, so I do quite well when I'm working a lot. I'm not content or satisfied when I'm not working enough. It's not good for my body mind, but that's not for everybody at all. Also, there's a difference between working a lot from it's fulfilling versus working a lot because I'm compulsively driven to because I have egoic attachments to who I think I am. And somehow my sense of self is attached to something that has to do with work. So are you gaining satisfaction from working Monday through Friday, 12-hour shifts? Is that satisfying? Or are you doing it out of an unconscious compulsion to prove your worth? That would be the first question to ask yourself. If you're doing it to prove something, that would be a reason to dissolve that attachment to that need to prove and become conscious awareness instead of becoming the guy who works 12 hours. Okay, let me know if you have further questions on that. That's a good point right there. Christina says, and us manifesting generators are so confusing, so hard to wait. Girl, preach it to the choir. I totally hear you. You know, the best teacher on getting a manifesting generator to wait is just fucking up a lot. I know Ben is in Sacramento too. I know you both from there. It's so fun to have all the Sacramento contingency. Ben does a bunch of theater too, or has. So watch out for him, Christina. He does great stuff on stage. So yes, manifesting generators are confusing indeed. Very hard to wait, in part because we have so much energy, right? The motor, the engine is running oftentimes for the manifesting generator. So like, how do you know where to put it? And how do you know when to take action? And how do you know? And they would say, follow that strategy and authority, wait to respond. And I don't remember what's defined in your case, but Maybe it's follow the emotional wave or listen to that sacral, that's the way. And, it helps too to like exercise is really good. And having like projects, like a lot of stuff going on, good for a manifesting generator. Cool. Other questions about the untethered soul topic here today, or insights or curiosities? Please feel free to ask specific questions about you as an individual. Yeah, emotional solar plexus. Yep. So then you got to ride that emotional wave, but you'll have a lot less suffering in your life, Christina, once you understand that you are not the emotional wave. You are not your anger. You are not your impatience. You are not your resistance. You are the conscious awareness that is watching anger arise. You are the conscious awareness that is watching resistance occur and that can choose what it does with anger, resistance, rage, whatever it might be. And that's the whole point of this conversation. Other questions from the group, please. Ideas, curiosities, questions. I'm shuffling this deck for us and waiting for 3 cards to come up. So we're going to talk to Spirit for a second. Could you show us the 3-card spread for this group tonight for the folks that are on the Katie Church thread here? We'd like to know a little bit about what's happening, past, present, future for this group. All right, here we are. All right, this deck is really kind of advanced, you guys. It's it's a cool one. This is this deck. Some of you, we've talked about this before. Wait, I'm gonna get it. You get it. Work Your Light, Oracle cards, given to me by Rennie. So wonderful, this deck. Deirdre says, I'm a manifester, ego 2-4, yet I really identify with the tetherless soul. Is this in conflict, resistance? I hear you. No. And here's why. Really good question, Deirdre. You guys, your questions are so important. They matter so much. Every time you guys ask a question and you think it's like so specific to you and therefore you shouldn't ask it, you're robbing everybody in the group of hearing the insights that can come through your question, which is 9 times out of 10 super relevant to the group. Okay, so no, it's not in conflict. Here's why. It's everything I've been saying tonight, Deirdre. If you can identify as conscious awareness that is watching the body mind of you function, you can watch the manifestor ego part of you need what it needs, and you can meet those needs and follow those energies, but from a place of, I don't want to say a detached place, but from a witness stance. That means you get caught in the chaos and the drama of the manifestor energy less. So if you understand that you are not that channel that leads to your defined ego, you are the consciousness that is watching the channel that leads to your defined ego, and you are allowing the definition in your ego and that channel that leads to that other defined center you have there, which I can't remember which one it is. You're watching that relationship occur and you're following the energy of it because your body mind needs to follow the energy of it, but you're watching it from a position of awareness. Then all of a sudden the whole thing is a lot less upsetting and the whole thing is a lot less taxing, and there's nothing to prove to anyone, even for a manifester with definition in the ego. I've watched it when people are doing it. Like when I watch people with definition in the ego, definition in the ego means like, you're going to be pretty sticky and willful about stuff. It means you're going to like do what you said, and you're going to need to do what you said because you've got that will. It's defined. It needs to do what it said. But you can watch that from a witness position and go, look at me doing what I said, rather than I am the thing that is doing what it said. Do you see? Defined will to throat. Yeah. Okay, good. Once you can become a witness to that and not identify as that, you can start to use it well, Deirdre. I imagine having the will defined to the throat, you've probably said things too quickly a lot in life and maybe pissed some people off. What helps being an untethered soul is you gain a little distance from the moment So you can go, oh, look at that. My ego is wanting to talk to my throat. Okay, yes, now, yes, no, yes. And you can listen and relate and pause and breathe and not be a slave to these energies. You can be in charge of them to a great degree. It's not like you can change them, and it's not like you cannot have them, but you cannot be a slave to them. You can be in concert with them. Okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense. Okay, let me pull these 3 cards let's talk about these cards. In the recent past, this is a reading for all of us here tonight. We have the Don't Dim to Fit In card. In the recent past, don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in is the question. Bringing us to the present moment card, which is the Warrior Woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? That's some good shit there. And she's got that beautiful sword. The outcome being trust your path. Such a good card. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? If you knew you would be supported, this light is awful. What would you do? So in the recent past, we've been in the don't dim to fit in position. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? And let's read what the fabulous Rebecca Campbell has to say about this tonight. I don't like how this deck is arranged because it's hard to find the things, but I found it. Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? This is in the recent past for us. Don't dim to accommodate somebody else's smallness. We're all born to shine big and bright. The universe is expanding and you are part of the universe. So expanding is part of your nature. If someone makes you want to retract, this is key here, notice and slowly back away. They are not for you and you are not for them. Better yet, find it within yourself to expand and shine your light anyway. Flowers don't open and close according to who is walking by. How good is that? The way I would translate that is I would say nature is not codependent. Flowers don't open and close according to who is walking by. They open and show their beauty regardless. If others don't want to be around you or you make them uncomfortable, it's because you are shining light on the fact that they are dimming to fit in. Did you catch that? If others don't want to be around you or you make them uncomfortable, it's because you are shining a light on the fact that they are dimming to fit in. Do you know how much I've dealt with this in my life? How many people are triggered and threatened by me being willing to be who I am? And then they shun me and they judge me and they cast me out of their groups. And I have to learn again, oh, look at that. I triggered them because I'm fucking loud with my light. It's big and loud. And anytime you're really out there with your light and you show yourself as you really are, everybody who isn't being who they really are is triggered. Unless they're really, really healthy and had really excellent parents, which only 5 people on earth had. By choosing to shine bright, you may just inspire them to turn on their light too. Usually you do eventually, but it takes them a while. Or not. Keep your light on anyway. Yeah, bitches, keep it on. Because the more people you trigger, the more people will wake up later. But if you're polite and codependently being small so that everybody will like you, now everybody's trapped. Everybody. You're not shining your light and neither are those bitches. And nobody's learned anything. Fantastic. All relationships are essentially an energetic agreement. The moment one person decides to start rising up and allowing their light to shine, it changes the energetic agreement and can create some waves. That's completely normal. The relationships that are meant to last will adapt to the change in energy. Others won't because they were likely born under the proviso of, I love you as long as you don't shine brighter than me. Fuck those bitches. That's okay. Not all people are meant to be in your life forever, but the lessons they teach us can still live on. Hallelujah. Namaste. You hear that thunder outside? The universe is like, yes, mic drop. Rebecca Campbell, mic drop indeed. Warrior Woman is the present moment. We're going to read these last 2 cards, you guys, and then call it a day for tonight. I'm already late to my next thing. It's going to be fun. Have you answered your deepest calling? Look at this bitch with her fucking sword on. Give me a break. You are here for a reason. You're being called to bravely pave a path. Have you answered your highest and deepest calling? Living a heart and soul-led life is not all fluffy and smooth sailing. Boy, don't I know. Living a heart and soul-led life requires courage to triumph over fear. So often our fears are the gatekeepers to our greatest gifts. Did you hear that? So often our fears are the gatekeepers to our greatest gifts. And the more resistance we have towards answering a call, the more important it is for our soul's growth. Damn it. Sometimes fear is an indication that we are facing the right way. Let's hear that again. The more resistance we have toward answering a call, the more important it is for our soul's growth. So if you're pulled towards a thing and called towards a thing and you want to do a thing and you keep not and you keep not and you keep not, it's telling you that thing's key and important. Joan of Arc was known for her courage and her famous line, "I'm not afraid, I was born to do this." But the thing about courage is that it's not possible without fear. So if you're feeling afraid, what is needed is courage. And courage comes from living from the heart. Think of your fears as opportunities to expand rather than things that are holding you hostage. If you look at your fears in the light, then, as uncomfortable as it may feel, it's actually a sign that you are on the right track. Have you answered your deepest calling? So if you got a ton of fear that's up, you're probably facing into the wind of your greatest growth opportunities. So rock on, you who is experiencing fear. The outcome card for us here this week is our lovely Trust Your Path card. Who can't use a good reminder to trust your path? I sure can. The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. My pleasure, Bianca. Thank you. Came in late. John Saeed Searcy. What? Oh my God. It's good to see you. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, did you hear that? If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, everybody wants their life to have these like big, obvious answers. It's just an invisible trail of what lights you up. Is it lighting you up? Good. Follow it. It's invisible. It's going to be subtle. I had a teacher say to me once, don't assume that the loudest voice in the room is right. Listen to the still small voice, the voice of what lights you up. Maybe nobody in the entire tri-state area will understand what the hell is going on inside of you, but you're following what lights you up. That's what my whole life is. Who is a solo show performer, house stager, spiritual teacher? Nobody. This bitch. Why? Because it's what lights me up. And guess what? It works out. It all works out quite well when we follow what lights us up. Most people don't follow their highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. If you take one baby step each day, within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page a day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you'll turn back and look in awe at how far you have come. Keep moving and open yourself up to a whole new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you were planning, but if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could possibly imagine. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. Well, I don't know what the hell that has to do with the Untethered Soul, but it's a great 3-card spread. Don't dim the body-mind organism to fit into what other people want. That's what we've been up against in the recent past. Present moment, are you answering the call? Are you stepping forward into fear to answer the call? And if so, good on you. You get to trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? If you knew you would be supported in becoming the untethered soul, would you become it? Why wouldn't you? Amin, namaste, hallelujah. So good to see you, my friends. I've kept you a little bit late. Join us for Sunday healing class. We start this coming Sunday, 7 weeks of energy healing and emotional integration work. Star Beings class starts next Wednesday. Join us for that. If you're curious, let me know. Hit me up at katierubin.com or right here, kalrubin@gmail.com. Join us for OMA Pittsburgh, my class with them called Waking the Sleepers, Monday nights. Come to Writing in Alignment. If you're writing anything, come to my writing class. That's Thursday days. There's a day class and a night class. Hop on into that sucker. We start not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. And if you're in New York, come see my goddamn show on Saturday. What the hell else are you doing? I love you guys. Have a great night. Be in touch. Take care.